Right, 30 June 2024, and I can't believe that we've come to the end of the month. This has been a very active month with a lot of different broadcasts, and I'm very excited that I was able to stream and then travel in this past month of June, and we look forward to a very eventful July. And I thank you very much for all your support that you've been giving me here at Gambakwe. And obviously, I've learned a lot and I've grown in this particular period. We are 6 months of daily broadcasting without a break. So every single day, I've given you a broadcast here, sometimes 2 times, sometimes 3 times. So it's been amazing. So let's quickly go through our Sunday update. And I want to start with a trending story. There is a massive trending story that is developing right now. And this is to say that Starlink is refusing to talk to the company that was designated by Mnangagwa as the company that will be the sole provider of Starlink services in Zimbabwe. So this company is called IMC Communications, and it's owned by Wicknell Chivayo. Wicknell Chivayo was granted this license to be the sole provider of Starlink in Zimbabwe by Mnangagwa on 25 May. And today, the Standard newspaper is reporting that there has been attempts by IMC Communications to talk to Starlink, but Starlink has not been responding to the messages written by IMC Communications. They have also not provided the non-disclosure agreement that was supposed to be provided before negotiations could begin. This means that there is currently no negotiation between Starlink and IMC Communications. And you remember that previously, I said that Starlink was insisting that they will only enter Zimbabwe on their own terms. This means that they will not be working with Wicknell Chivayo in Zimbabwe. And I do not know how this is going to proceed, because remember, the Starlink has already been licensed. So the question is, how are they going to operate in Zimbabwe? However, they are currently not working with IMC Communications, which is a corrupt company between Mnangagwa and Wicknell Chivayo. I now want to unpack for you why this is corrupt, why this is a corrupt deal between Mnangagwa and Wicknell. So according to the newspaper, the Standard newspaper, Starlink was obviously granted permission to work in Zimbabwe on the 25th of May. That announcement was made through Mnangagwa's Twitter handle, and I showed you that tweet by Mnangagwa. But on the 21st of May, Tatenda Mavetera had written to Wicknell to say that he's been granted permission. So Wicknell already knew 4 days in advance that he'd been granted permission to work with Starlink. However, there were 4 other companies that were involved in this deal. And these companies include a company owned by the sons of Mnangagwa, the twin sons of Mnangagwa. They were also approved to work with Starlink. So what I believe is, I believe that Mnangagwa and Wicknell had a separate agreement under which they would approve the Starlink and try to push Wicknell into Starlink. However, he had also made other plans to license other people. And this was an attempt to trick Starlink so that Starlink believes that they're dealing with IMC Communications. But Mnangagwa and his friends and other companies that were going to be providing these services. However, it's clear that Wicknell has got no capacity. He does not know how to be in the telecommunications industry. Wicknell has never run a company in telecommunications. And there was no tender or any public offer to say Starlink is now going to be approved. So companies that are competent should come and bid to become the providers of Starlink in Zimbabwe. There was no approach by POTRAZ to anyone to say companies, telecommunications companies that are competent, please come forward. So this was a secret deal, and the tweet was given directly from Mnangagwa's office without any process being followed, any licensing, telecommunications or legal process being followed. This, I believe, is the reason why Starlink is refusing to talk to Wicknell Chivayo. They are not responding to the messages, and the representative of IMC Communications in Zimbabwe have written to Mnangagwa asking for assistance to get a response from Starlink. This is a crazy situation, and Mnangagwa is proving to be a big liability to our country. He's an embarrassment, and his corruption has reached levels that you cannot believe. And my belief is that this deal will eventually be taken, and it will be given to the twins or the sons of Mnangagwa, or the attempt was to allow IMC to negotiate and then give the deal to the twins. Mnangagwa only works through his family, his friends and cronies. He does not care about competence. And it's clear that we've got a serious problem right here. There's nothing that is going to come out of the Mnangagwa government. This is a disaster, what we're watching here. And this information is coming out slowly. It's coming out very, very slowly that Mnangagwa, when he does give contracts, he does not follow a process. He just goes straight to his friend and say, there's a contract here, do you want it? There's a contract here, do you want it? Which is crazy. You cannot believe that a president can do such a thing. But here is Mnangagwa doing the very thing, and it's being published in his own newspaper. So the Standard newspaper is owned by Mnangagwa and his family through his daughter and his son-in-law. And they've got no choice but to publish this thing. This is crazy, crazy stuff. But I've got a lot of stories today. However, what I'm going to do is tonight, we're going to start going live on TikTok. So we're going to start going live on TikTok, and they're going to be having more stories throughout. So every story that we've covered this week, we're going to summarize the story on TikTok tonight. That is our new platform. We're doing very, very well. Gambakwe TikTok is one of the biggest TikToks right now in Zimbabwe, and we provide a lot of value. Now, let's go to the second story. And this story is crazy. You've never seen a story like this in Zimbabwe, but I'm going to give you as much as I have. Let's start with Kuda David Mnangagwa. That is Kuda David Mnangagwa here this week. He was attending a meeting at ZANU-PF. I think this is ZANU-PF head office. So there are now more details on what has happened to the Mnangagwa family. That is David Mnangagwa here at his house. The police have issued a statement on the break-in at the house of Mnangagwa on the 25th. There was a break-in. Unknown people broke into the house of Mnangagwa on the 25th, and they stole various electronic gadgets. They stole laptops and iPads, and they took these into the roof from the bedroom of Kuda Mnangagwa. They also took $500. They also went to his garage and they cut the Range Rover. You see, on the Range Rover, they went and cut the headrest of the Range Rover. I don't know what they were looking for, but I believe that when they cut the head of that Range Rover, they were looking for something. And I believe that Kuda here is involved in some illegal activities, and his friends were coming for him. I do not believe that this is a random act. On top of that, they went and left 4 bullets at the door of his bedroom, and they left another set of bullets on the lawn of his house. And they then did a crazy thing. They left a voice note, which we've added on Gambakwe. If you go to Gambakwe right now, Gambakwe YouTube, you'll be able to play the voice note that they left. Under that voice note, they said that they are coming after Mnangagwa. They're only doing, they're only showing that they're capable. That is why they've gone into the house of Kuda Mnangagwa. But my belief is that Kuda Mnangagwa is dealing with his friends, and he's got some connection to these guys. It's not easy to just pass the police who are guarding outside, go onto the roof of a building of a minister, and do what they did, go into his bedroom, steal all those gadgets and leave them in the roof, and steal documents and tear them up. There is something that they're looking for, something very specific. There's certain information that is being looked for. from the Mnangagwa family. And the voice note says specifically that they're coming after Mnangagwa himself. So I think this is another John Doe incident, and we're going to have a situation here. Mnangagwa is in a very tight spot. He's angered a lot of very important people, and something is going to happen very, very soon. In terms of security, remember I mentioned that the security around Mnangagwa is very weak. With what happened at his farm, these guys don't have CCTV, which means they can't tell what's going on. The level of security around Mnangagwa is very, very weak, and his family is very big. He's got over 50 people who can be attacked, and that means his perimeter is huge. Mnangagwa can be attacked anywhere, at any point, through anyone. So that is what I can call a vulnerability, kind of weakness in Mnangagwa's security, which you are seeing here. However, I don't think it's as simple as all that. I don't think it's a simple robbery. My belief is that Mnangagwa and Anakuda, they actually know who is coming after them. And this is going to be reviewed very, very shortly. The people are going to reveal themselves, because that voice note is clear. It says, we're coming after you, Mnangagwa. They're not coming after the sons. Then obviously, Mnangagwa and Chiwenga, they had a trip. So this is Mnangagwa and Chiwenga here. They toured the parliament building, or the parliament buildings. And this project is a disaster. This thing has not finished. Mnangagwa has said it himself that this thing is not going to finish. And you can see where it is. So let me show you where it is right now. So this is the actual project here. You can clearly see that there's no way that this thing is going to finish. There's no way that a conference center is going to be finished here. And there's no way that you're going to have presidents living in this thing with 1 month to go. It's not possible. It's not possible to build this. Mnangagwa has failed to finish this project. And this is a disaster. The quality of workmanship is very bad. Look at this quality of workmanship here. It's terrible. You've got these precast things that they're putting here, and look at those foundations. Someone can get crushed in this thing, and I don't think presidents are going to want to stay in there. You can also see the road. This is the road the way it looks right now, and there's absolutely no work taking place here, and there are no road markings. This road has been the same for almost a month. Let me show you what it looked like a month ago, so that you can understand. This is the same road, the same stretch of road here. All they've done is to put tar on top, and there's still a lot of work to be done. There's not much happening here, and it's a disaster. Mnangagwa has started many projects which are not finishing. That is what he does. He starts project and then he doesn't finish. And look at the conference center itself. It's just at foundation level. There's no way that is going to put the walls, the roof, everything and finish in time. And if it is done, these are the kind of buildings that crash people. Like if you do that, you end up with people being crushed. Look at that level, that poor design. I do not know who designed this thing, but it's one of the worst designs I've ever seen. And this person must not be allowed to be near government contracts. His level of designing is very, very poor. And it's almost like it would have been better if they went to the parliament buildings and built another section on the side. Then they would put villas there so that people can actually have an accommodation compound in parliament. That was going to be very useful. But Mnangagwa always tries to do something big and then he ends up not finishing. Now that is his biggest problem. Mnangagwa's projects are not finishing, and it's a mess. It's a total mess. Now I want to go to another story, a very interesting story. This is retired General Brigadier General Muchunguma here. He passed on this week, and what you're watching here is his body. His body was also left outside. They could not get into the house. This is because the brigadier's house here is too small. So our brigadiers, they don't have big houses. They've got tiny little houses, and their bodies cannot fit in those houses. This is because they're not making enough money. On retirement, a brigadier is living a life, a squalid life, a life that is very difficult. I want to find a better picture here where I can show you exactly what's happening. So I've shown you the little hut, but let me show you the actual full house. So this is the house of the brigadier here. Guys, this is terrible. For someone who's called a brigadier general to live in these conditions in the village, in Makoni village, it's terrible, because what it's showing is that there is actually no money in this thing. These guys are not able to create wealth. And Mnangagwa, they are failing to create wealth, and people are struggling. Imagine if a brigadier is living like this, what a general soldier is living like in their village. It's very difficult. There's no money, and these guys have got no investments. When they finish their work, they struggle a lot. And politics, they can't get into politics because they have not had that political exposure from the beginning. So it's terrible what's happening with our leadership. Mnangagwa is only interested in his own family. And I just want to make the point here. I'm not attacking Mnangagwa like a random attack and continuous attack. It's only because Mnangagwa is at the center of everything. So everything that you talk about in Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa is somehow involved. Look at the stories that we've looked at today. There is nothing that Mnangagwa is not involved in. And all of it is not up to standard. So look at the Starlink deal. That's embarrassing. A president is not supposed to be involved in such things, but he's in everything. And most of the stuff that he does, there's no careful planning, there's no thinking it through, and there's no idea of whether it's legal or not. He just goes. And we're currently heading towards a nation where everything is just confusion, and everything's about ZANU-PF. They only worry about ZANU-PF. So I don't know how it's going to end, but we have a terrible situation in Zimbabwe, and it all leads to Mnangagwa. And very interestingly, I saw General Chiwenga yesterday wearing an ED cap. So Mdara Arupegedzwa, like ED number 1. That is a cap that General Chiwenga is wearing. But I know what Mdara far reasons kupegedzwa basa ED number 1. No, ED is not number 1. So what you can see, and I want to just go a bit into this. The Mnangagwa government is facing a crisis, but personally, Mnangagwa himself is facing a crisis. The attacks on his children, these attacks in terms of people breaking into the house and fires at his house, they show weakness. Mnangagwa is weak. His security is very, very weak. And we're getting to a point where people are going to try their luck with Mnangagwa's security. You've also heard the rumor that Sean Mnangagwa has been told not to come to the military where he was working. So this is a rumor that is moving around freely. People have told Sean Guti, don't come to the military, don't come to the barracks, stay that side with your parents, don't come because it's not safe for you. Similarly, here we're seeing Kuda, and we're seeing also the twins involved in the Starlink deal. So according to this same article, it says that the Starlink deal, the Mnangagwa family or the twins were also one of the companies that was approved to be in Starlink. Do you believe that an international company like Starlink is going to involve themselves with the Banana Republic and become a partner? For what desperation is that? Do you think, how desperate do you think Starlink is to get into Zimbabwe? To the point of wanting to partner with someone who has not even managed to set up a cell phone shop. They've never set up anything, not even a cell phone shop. Everything that they know is corruption. And the fact that Kuda works in government, it shows you they don't have money. There is no normal person whose son can work as a deputy minister in government. There is no country which is normal. That is what the setup that you're seeing now with Mnangagwa and Danakuda, where the whole family is now working in government, including Auxilia herself, drawing a salary from a government. So I want to then take you to the actual Standard newspaper itself. It's got a very interesting story. So let me show you the story. Sandra Ndebele in smuggled vehicle storm. So if you go and look at the Standard newspaper, you see that's a very, very powerful story that's over there. Sandra Ndebele has been caught with a vehicle, a GD6, that was smuggled. Now let's look at other newspapers. I want to quickly look at other newspapers. Let's look at the Sunday Mail newspaper and see what is happening with the Sunday Mail Zimbabwe. If they published, if they've not published, don't worry, I'll give you this story in the evening. We're going to go live on TikTok for the first time. It's my first attempt to go live on TikTok, and let's see how it goes. So let's look at the Times, Sunday Times of South Africa, and see if there's anything there. Sunday Times South Africa. Yes, Sunday Times South Africa is published. So I'm going to take you through that newspaper. Let's see what they are saying at Sunday Times South Africa. And they're saying it's a done deal. And let's look what is the done deal. Ramaphosa is likely to announce his cabinet today. So let me show you what they say here. And I hope you're seeing what I'm showing here. The DA is set to form part of the cabinet, expected to announce by President Ramaphosa after 2 weeks of negotiations and bickering. The DA this weekend relented on its demand for the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Competition and accepted agriculture instead, but without land reform. That's amazing. So it's all about land reform. Let's see if there's anything else here, which is interesting. So they're only talking about their speculation here. I do not see anything here. Still, Sternham is a show into Ramaphosa's cabinet, and among front runners to join him in cabinet is a special advisor and shadow minister of public administration, Leon Schreiber. So that is basically what they're saying here. And then SA Stars shine in the LA at BET Awards. So Makadze was over there, and Focalistic was over there. You can see this is the newspaper here from South Africa. You can go and check it out. They publish their news freely online. And then let's see if the Sunday News newspaper has published so that I can give you some more stories. The Sunday News Zimbabwe is not published. So the Zimbabwe newspapers are very slow in publishing. But as I said, we're going to give you these stories on TikTok. And then obviously, I'm going to share these stories with you. It's very interesting what's happening. We're in the post-Mnangagwa era. The post-Mnangagwa era needs careful management. We don't want to replace Mnangagwa with a worse person. We want to replace Mnangagwa with a new system. And we need to be extremely powerful. When I talk about extremely powerful, I'm talking about we don't want a politics that is done in the secret. So we're going to make sure of it. We don't want private politics. You could wonder what is BT doing? What is Chamisa doing? What is happening? And we don't want that. Going forward, we should create an open politics that will help our country to develop. Politics in Zimbabwe has been the problem that has stopped our country from developing. We've had a poor country. Mnangagwa has created one of the poorest countries out of Zimbabwe. And let's not allow it. Let's make sure that this is not allowed. Zimbabwe is got a lot of potential. Now, let me look at the comments. Glot says, Gambakwe, when you first made public the coming protest, you said it was the legal way. Now we say no more safe at home. Don't you think by publicizing sold the protest plan? Okay, Glot, let me explain. We don't want a private protest. This is not a demonstration. This is a protest with specific objectives. 3 specific objectives. First, we don't want Mnangagwa to be the chairman of SADC. Secondly, we want the SIOM report to be on the agenda of SADC. And thirdly, we want dialogue leading to Mnangagwa stepping down, a transitional authority, and then a fresh election. Those things are not small. You don't do a random and quick protest. You want a sustained campaign that has got a clear set of objectives, which means if SADC comes and ends without an actual dialogue taking place, without Zimbabwe being put on the SIOM, this does not stop. We're going to up our game, and you're going to see me every day talking about the same thing after. And not only talking, you're going to see us now traveling from SADC. We're now going to go to other bodies. So SADC will be done. If the SADC summit passes and nothing happens, we're now looking at other bodies, including the UN. That is where we're going. We're not going to be stopping to say, oh, SADC Yaramba, and then we stop. No, this is a sustained action. Mnangagwa The election was found to have not been free and fair. The corruption that Mnangagwa is currently being involved in, these are criminal activities, including money laundering. And I know that Mnangagwa's name is going to be mentioned. There are going to be bank accounts that show how Mnangagwa was paid. And as you know, Mnangagwa is on sanctions, international sanctions. This is going to have massive repercussions. And all Mnangagwa has to do is to agree to dialogue. Then there'll be no problems for him. Why is Mnangagwa refusing to have dialogue? What is the point? And these are the things that I'm talking about. Mnangagwa's time in government is over. No one is enjoying what Mnangagwa is doing, including guys in government. Everyone is fed up of what Mnangagwa is doing. And we are firmly in the post-Mnangagwa era. All we have to do is to manage the process. Manage that process of Mnangagwa getting out of office. That's all we need to do. Then Comrade Matsima said, Gambakwe, you are an agent of ZANU-PF. We know that. How do you know that? I'm an agent of ZANU-PF. Here is a link. Come here and talk to me and tell me how you know I'm an agent of ZANU-PF. Pana rudai kupinda iro link iro ndakupai vanoziva kuti agent of ZANU-PF. And then your knowledge, since you are not an agent of ZANU-PF, come here every day and tell us what to do, the non-agent of ZANU-PF. Otherwise, sitting at your home in your little phone and talking about me is not anything. It's nothing. You just show me that you're a confused person. That's all. Knowledge, you're an embarrassment to yourself. And this because we're time young. Guys, we're not playing here. Let's make sure that we change our country and ignore these people that want to talk about Gambakwe. Talk about Mnangagwa. Talk about his sons in Starlink. Talk about Chivayo. Talk about the unfinished projects. Talk about the deep poverty, which makes your top soldiers get buried from outside, from the streets, like stray dogs. That is how these guys are being buried, because Mnangagwa everywhere. And don't listen to Mnangagwa agents who come here and talk about Gambakwe. We want to build a good country, a beautiful country, a successful country. And where we are going, it's no longer about personalities. We have to build strong systems. And to build a strong system, it needs a sustained effort. It needs people who plan. It needs us to use our education, our resources as a country. We've got the most educated people. Do not accept what Mnangagwa is doing right now. And I'm saying this to every single Zimbabwean, including the people in ZANU-PF. There's nothing wrong with ZANU-PF. A country, a proper country, has a multi-party system. That is why you see in South Africa, ANC, DA, EFF, all these countries. Don't come here with your ZANU-PF, this MDC, that CCC, that. That's nonsense. No one cares about that. Do not tell us about political parties. We want a successful country, and you are not going to confuse us and distract us with your nonsense about political parties. We know ZANU, we know CC. We don't care about that. What has these political parties given you all these years? In Gambakwe, I can tell you things that all those people in ZANU-PF and all their PhDs cannot tell you. What has the CC guys given you right now? Where is CC right now? Who has even breathed about the corruption in CC? Have you seen anyone breathing among the CC guys or the Blue Movement guys? Who do you know in the leadership who has said anything about the corruption, the open corruption that we're seeing with Wicknell right now? Have you seen any of them talking? So that's why I'm saying to you, stop listening to this nonsense about ZANU-PF and MDC and CIOs. Let's focus. Let's go to Zambia, have a protest there. And going forward, do not accept politicians that operate in the dark, politicians that you never see. You only see them when there's supposed to be a rally. Right? And you know that we are capable of doing it. I've told you that I'm not interested in politics, but if a time comes and we have to do it, we'll do it. And there's nothing that can stop us. We cannot be held hostage by people that are not there, and that I do not accept. We are so tired of our people overseas, in South Africa, in Botswana, in Namibia, in Zambia, everywhere. You've got Zimbabweans over there. And you've got these politicians that disappear and fight all the time. That's crazy. Now let's talk about Wasu. Ostalo's Mahere and Chamisa have spoken. Okay, guys, I'm not in a competition here with the Ostalo's Mahere and Chamisa. We want a proper plan to deal with Mnangagwa. If you let the situation that is there now continue, there's going to be a military solution. I'm always telling guys, there's going to be a military solution. The opposition must organize themselves and deal with these situations. Right now, what the opposition should do when there is a corrupt deal, like what Wicknell has done, is to make all efforts to stop it. Right now, we've got Chivayo. What is Chivayo going to do? Ostalos, Mahere, and Chamisa are not the opposition. They're out of parliament. Me and Ostalos and Mahere and Chamisa were the same. We are not in parliament. We are sitting here. In fact, I'm better because I've got media, so I can walk around anywhere where I want to go. Ostalos, Mahere, and Chamisa, what can they do right now? Except to tweet, just like you tweet. That's not enough. We need a strong opposition. We need an alternative. And the alternative must organize, they must have structures, it must be ready to take over and lead. At the moment, we do not have such an opposition in Zimbabwe. Chamisa Ari1 cannot run a government. You understand? So don't think good Chamisa can wake up and then run a government. It's not possible. That's crazy. If you think good Chamisa Achamuka and say tomorrow, I'm taking over, that is a recipe for 2040. What you are looking at there. You're looking at the recipe for 2040. By 2040, Mnangagwa will still be there. And all of you be saying, ZANU-PF agent, CIO agent. And most of you, your relatives, your mothers, they're struggling in the villages. And all you can think about is ZANU, MDC, CC, Blue Movement. Come up with a strategic plan where we can see where are we going. At the moment, there's no such thing. And all we see is nonsense. So I want to keep going. Of course, I like to keep talking. But what I want to do is to avoid going into a tirade, Karakuti, going crazy. So going crazy means just talking for no reason. So I'll be back here in the evening. That is on TikTok. We're going to go live now on TikTok. Guys, join TikTok and follow us on our channel. That is going to be one of our most important platforms going forward because we're engaging with women. So most of the women in Zimbabwe are on TikTok. So the audience that we actually have on TikTok is different from the audience on YouTube and on Facebook. The reason being, most of our women like to scroll, but they're very loyal. So if I start having an audience on TikTok, I see that they behave in a certain way. We got thousands and thousands of views a day. Like old stories, new stories, got thousands and thousands of views, much more than all the other platforms. So we want to start giving them more news and also to get our country moving. Media is going to be extremely important going forward. The media is the new leadership. So what is happening globally is that people who are running media, instead of just shaping opinions, they are now directing the conversation. That's why you see, Kuti, this protest is actually being sort of like guided by Gambakwe. So Gambakwe is Chibabache media in Zimbabwe. When you say Chibabache media, we mean Kuti, all the other guys, they just talk Zuma story, but you never see them outside. Have you ever seen anyone going to Sadak? Have you ever seen any of them going to Zambia? If you're looking for views, they're not relevant. And especially if you're looking for views using someone else's name without checking your facts, that's nonsense. If you see someone who just says, oh, Gambakwe this, oh, Gambakwe that, that person is not serious. We want to see a media person on the ground. Show us you're a serious person. And you're not just Kamun, Karuta or Akari, Seri Uko. Especially those guys who just talk. That's annoying. So I've taken this opportunity deliberately, right? Right. Because I wanted to get this newspaper called the Sunday Mail, and the Sunday Mail is out. So let's go to the Sunday Mail now. So while I was talking, the Sunday Mail guys put out the newspaper. And I want to take you through the 3 stories that are at the front of the page. And this is crazy. Mnangagwa is going berserk, and it's clear. Let me show you what Mnangagwa is doing in this newspaper. So Mnangagwa is talking about Zambia again. So let me take you through Mnangagwa's story on Zambia. And I'm going to spend time on this story. Mnangagwa is blaming Zambia for his problems once again. So let's see what Mnangagwa is saying. Okay. The recent decision by the Zambian government to avoid using bilateral diplomatic channels and approach the SADC Secretariat seeking mediation over a recent misunderstanding in Zimbabwe is increasingly complicating engagements between the 2 countries. It has been learned. The Sunday Mail has gathered that Zambia recently lodged a formal complaint with SADC Secretary Minister Elias Mahosi and sought regional intervention in the matter that was already under active discussion between the 2 neighboring countries. The complaint followed remarks made by Mnangagwa during a trip to Russia, where he highlighted the US government's meddlesome activities in the country and efforts to isolate Zimbabwe. So they are going through all this story here. It is believed that the subverted plot is to try to scupper Zimbabwe's assumption of the regional body's chairmanship, a plan which high-level sources have since described as ridiculous. Tied to this scheme, the authorities have uncovered a plot sponsored by the Americans to foment civil unrest in the country ahead of the summit through the non-local and foreign proxies. Guys, what do you think about Mnangagwa and his people? This is crazy. Zambia is literally not a threat to Zimbabwe, and they're making this a big deal. They're not dealing with their issue. Mnangagwa just talks, and he is embarrassing us, and his corrupt activities are a problem. So all I can say to you is there's no way that this is going to be allowed to continue. Other countries are fed up. And to make matters worse, Mnangagwa's chairmanship is actually starting to look like a bad idea to a lot of people. It is a bad idea, and no one wants this president of Mnangagwa to become chairperson of SADC. It's crazy. Let me see if there's anything else here of value. I think this is Charamba. Charamba intends to waffle, and there's nothing here. And I think go and have a look. These stories, they tend to put them out online. So it says here, it essentially means that they are trying to escalate the matter to sub-regional body when the fact that there's already interaction at bilateral level, and that interaction has not been exhausted, nor has it hit an impasse. There's an impasse between Zimbabwe and Zambia. Mnangagwa last week continued with his attack on Zambia. I showed it to you, and there's no way that Zambia is going to accept what is happening with Mnangagwa. So I would like to end it here. I don't want to continue with this. What I will do is tonight I will look through the Sunday Mail newspaper properly. I'll take you through all the news that has been happening so that you can understand. So let's go and see if there are new comments here, which I need to attend to. Mkoma Peter is saying Mnangagwa is clashing for his last breath. Yes, it's the post-Mnangagwa era. But what I'm worried about is that there's going to be a military attack on Mnangagwa, not necessarily from military Zimbabwe. The problem is Mnangagwa is probably dealing with some very dangerous people, and these people could end up attacking him because the deals that he's cutting, it shows me that he does some personal things in the president's office that are not related to the government, and sometimes you end up going with the wrong people. And then Mkoma never most says Gambakwe vanhu havaoni kubiwa kwese kuri kuitwa mari munyika zviri pachena, but hapana kana zvaitwa naMnangagwa. Yes, that's true. And then Mkoma was saying, I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. I heard you saying that the Blue Movement has not spoken out against corruption. Yes, there is nothing called the Blue Movement. So let me explain to you. There is nothing called the Blue Movement. And I'm now going to give you guys a secret that you've never heard. Nelson Chamisa is not part of the Blue Movement. The guys who are running the Blue Movement, they are doing it without the direction of Nelson Chamisa. They are sympathizers of Nelson Chamisa. Chamisa is going to launch a new thing. But Chamisa himself is not part of the Blue Movement. And I want to give you facts. So let me give you fact number one. Mukoma G has been moving around with the Postalos, Chibaya, and MP Weku Binga, Dubekosban. When those guys move around, they are basically what we call the Blue Movement. They are setting up structures, they're talking to people and so on. However, Nelson Chamisa has categorically stated that is not part of that group. He does not direct that group. They are independent and free to do what they like. They are free to support Chamisa. What Chamisa has said last week, when questioned by Bishop Nyamakanga phoned Chamisa and asked him if these guys are working with him after some misunderstandings. And Chamisa has said he does not know some of the people. He has never talked to those people who are in the Blue Movement. So I've given you some facts. Digest it if you want. You can swallow it, or you can do the other thing with it. But that is a fact. And in Nina, I don't keep secrets. When I know something, I'm going to bring it here. So that Blue Movement that is there right now, that is not Chamisa's final destination. Chamisa is going to release something that is new, and he's going to announce it. And I'm not in it right now. And no one else is in it. Chamisa is planning what he's planning, and he's going to come out and tell people what he's planning. But it's not what you're saying here. Strategically, that is not what Chamisa is releasing. So if you think the Blue Movement is what Chamisa is released now, no, it's not true. But true, Mr. Shingai Samshonga, God is in it. The time is now. This is true. Then Mkoma Tatenda says, how many times have you said Mnangagwa today? Like this more. Let's do 10 more. Mnangagwa. 10 times more. I've said Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa Arkuraivan Nenzara. You've never had such a disaster in our country. And I do not know why people who have the power do not go and deal with this situation. Open corruption should not be allowed, especially by a president. It should be a no. A president should not openly be involved in corruption. And his family must not be involved in open corruption. That's a banana republic, and we don't want that. So I would like to thank you. And Gambakwe is such a funny character and strange at the same time. I mean, what a fugazi. You know what is a fugazi? You can't tell what it is. In fact, I did research on a guy called Fugazi. You must Google it. Who is Fugazi? Then Mdara Murim CIO, Imi, CIO, Inina Anditem CIO. Let me tell you, Kuti, let's say I was in the CIO, who I would be. Inini, if I was CIO, Jendiri Isaac Moy, not CIO. I'm talking about the level where I am nationally. Isaac Moy, top. Not is my CIO. Come on, guys. Honestly, think about it. Do you think a normal CIO person can have the capacity to do the stuff I do? There is no way. Those are not our Zungu. Chifunga uti CIO anita anything. CIO is no one. It's like these brigadiers. Unovigwa body yako isingakwanisa kupinda mu room mumba mako. That is terrible. And because there's my soldier, mamwari kurara pasi. Muri kudya sadza chine cabbage, and you call yourself, the only thing that they give you is a gun to oppress your own people. That's terrible. So Dopatiri, this is where we are. We're at a terrible critical moment. Look at this Starlink thing. How embarrassing that a president is going to come and sign a deal in his office on an international contract. And then the actual people who are supposed to sign the contract are refusing to talk to you. Embarrassing. So I would like to thank everyone here for watching. As I said, we're going to be doing more and more lives. So we're going to be doing lives in the evening. We're also going to start our lives on TikTok, and it's going to be amazing. And then Mkoma John says, how many Zimbabweans stream this? You're out of touch. Consult Harari team. I don't know Mkoma Kutimuda Kutachi, media intelligence. Right, guys, let's not get confused. I obviously want to to end this, and I want to say, let's bring this to an end. I've enjoyed interacting with you guys. Right, the Lang is now issued a threat. Say oh is nothing. Say it when you land at the airport and see nothing. Right. Let me give you guys a challenge. I'm going to go to Zimbabwe, and I'm going to walk out of the airport, and I'm going to go where I'm going, and nothing's going to happen to me. And the reason is, don't think everyone in Zimbabwe is happy with the situation in Zimbabwe. If anyone attempts to do anything to me, don't think everyone is going to sit there and be happy and do nothing. So don't start hondo dzamusingazivi. Otherwise, that's what you can do. And that's what I'm saying to guys. These threats that people are being issued every day, don't be scared of them. Mnangagwa, they don't own the country. What they're doing with their family must be stopped. Otherwise, we'll go nowhere if we're afraid. And the person that is afraid will never lead Zimbabwe. So the first step, if you want to lead Zimbabwe, you have to take away your fear. And let's see what happens. What is on the other side of fear is amazing. And the Zambian guys, even in Mnangagwa, they are more afraid of powerful people who are not afraid than everyone who's just afraid. Even I'm not stop going where I'm going. I'll go where I'm going. And what happens, happens. Who knows? What if nothing happens? That's what I always tell people. What if nothing happens? But let's not allow fear to hold us back. Young people of our country, confront these guys. Confront Mnangagwa. He's destroying everything. Stop the destruction of our country, of our systems, of our economy. One person cannot destroy our country, and you cannot allow it. That should not be allowed. And division is what is going to stop all of us. Let's move forward. Let's fix our country. Let's make Zimbabwe a jewel again. And the time is now. It's a spiritual duty. And let's make sure that it's done and delivered. So thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you again in the evening. I hope that I've given you enough news for today. And you can see, Kuti, I'm very certain the time that we've arrived is critical. And do not be lost. Do not be lost and think we're still in the past. We are here now, and everything's going to happen in public. Thank you very much, everyone, and a good day.